I'll start with a snippet of a journal entry I wrote March 2024. It says, I read an article encouraging someone who struggles with addiction to confide in a family member. But even though I yearn for that, I can't. I can't unload the burden on anyone else. It's mine to carry. I'll share it with these notebook pages, but this is where I'll stay. At this point, I was struggling with an addiction to alcohol, pornography, and marijuana. I believe I had hit my rock bottom, April 24th, 2024. I was on the bathroom floor, crying out to God for help, finally ready to admit I couldn't break free from the chains of addiction. I was ready to do it His way. I had never dealt with any of my emotions without medicating them with one of the 3 addictions I previously stated. Not just the negative ones either, but the positive ones. Shame completely had a hold over me, which restricted me from ever asking for help and further deepened my addictive behavior. My relationships, self-worth, were what suffered the most. I didn't feel worthy of love from others because I knew what I was doing behind closed doors. So I never let anyone in. I was the master of surface level communication because that's all I was willing to let other people see. This left me feeling alone, which pushed me deeper into isolation, which to me is where the devil thrives. He had me right where he wanted. Fast forward a month, May 2024. I admitted to my parents the exact nature of my addiction. It was one of the most difficult conversations I ever had to make. But to my surprise, they didn't even flinch. They met me with love and support. Days later, I admitted everything to my closest friends. This put the first crack in the wall of shame I had built up around myself. I wish I could say after admitting my struggles, things got easier, but they did not. In much ways, things got much harder. Over the next few months, learning to sit with my emotions, as simple as that may seem, was very difficult for me. I felt backed into a corner, which left me feeling highly irritable, pessimistic, and lonely. After scratching and clawing my way through the beginning of my recovery, for the first few months, I randomly found Celebrate Recovery. When I say randomly, it was truly God's will for me. I had attended a group on Tuesdays, and the day prior, the group was canceled. I was in a pretty rough spot, so I went to the church website and saw that they had a group meeting on Wednesday night called Celebrate Recovery. I didn't know what it was. I just knew that I needed church, so I was committed to go. I walked into CR that evening in August and felt love I hadn't quite experienced from a group of strangers before. I made it through big group and went to small group, again, not knowing what to expect. As I sat there listening to men talk about their struggles, it was powerful. As terrified as I was compelled to be vulnerable and to share my struggles. This was another crack in my wall of shame. After group, the men extended so much love and encouragement towards me. One of the men let me know about a step study going on Tuesday nights that he thought I would benefit from. So I took the leap of faith and decided to commit to it and showed up the following Tuesday. I went into my CR step study, trying to address issues of addiction, living in shame, and low self-worth. The process was tough. I faced many days of resistance, but I committed to see the process through, regardless of how I was feeling that day. As I mentioned, I had already done some of the steps inadvertently, but things changed once I got into community. To be in an environment of men all admitting that they've fallen short of the men God made them to be and who they wanted to be, but were committed to partnering with God and to each other to become better, was powerful and life-changing for me. I've never had to dig in and peel back layers of myself to find the root of my issues, to dig below the surface. But doing so was life-changing. I had never experienced such vulnerability, and it was contagious and revitalizing. Shame had lost its hold over my mind, and that wall was ready to come down. James 5:16 says, "Therefore confess your sins to one another, that you may be healed." Proverbs 27:17 says, "As iron sharpens iron, so another person sharpens another." CR uses we instead of I, because recovery is supposed to be done in community, and community is exactly what I found. Hi, my name is Michael. I'm a grateful believer in Jesus Christ. With Him and the help of CR, I'm celebrating 1 year free of alcohol, 11 months free of marijuana, and I'm no longer living in shame. I'm currently working on sobriety and low self-worth.